Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome back to Local Crafter. So in anticipation of Father's Day, I am actually doing a calligraphy piece for fathers, or for my father actually. And I wanted to make this piece so that if anybody else wanted to kind of dabble in some creativity while we're all at home, this is something fun that you can do. Really, it just requires a piece of paper, pencil, eraser, and some watercolors. And if you don't have watercolors, you can replace it with markers, you can replace it with color pencils, but this is just showing you the bare bones, and I enjoy watercoloring. So the ayah that I'm going to be writing is from Surah Al-Isra. It goes, Rabba arhuma kama rabbayanihi saghira. The rough translation of that, which is, O Allah, have compassion on them, referring to your parents, as they grew me when I was younger. So I basically have taken a 7x7 piece of watercolor paper, and I'm just lining it up so that whatever calligraphy I start writing is at the center. As you can tell, I'm not using any calligraphy specific materials. That is very, very intentional. I wanted this for anybody to really do. One of the things that people kind of get intimidated by with Arabic calligraphy is, not achieving that thuluth look, the really exact precision, and that is absolutely beautiful and takes so many years to master that, and a lot of practice. And if you're making something like this, what you can use to your advantage is actually color. So it could be a style within itself about the way you draw out your calligraphy, but really leveraging color to emphasize different shades and different patterns of color can help really lift up your calligraphy piece and make it look very special. So here, as you can see, I'm just taking my pencil and roughly drawing the thick and the thin curves of the letters. It's always good to have like a Quran as a reference, to understand where your letters strokes need to be a little bit thicker and where they need to be a bit thinner. So that's kind of what has helped me out personally. But yeah, as you can see, just putting the bare bones of the lettering down with my pencil. One thing I do want to advise, if you are going with a lighter color, let's say you want it like a pink color, like a light pink color, you probably want to keep your pencil marks pretty light. Here I've kept them a bit darker, and I've also increased the contrast for while editing this video just so that you can see what I'm drawing, but I'm going to be using a dark blue color to achieve this look. So just keep that in mind as you are sketching out the lettering, that if you are using a lighter color, you probably want to use lighter pencil strokes as well. Right, so now I'm taking a 5 size watercolor brush. I'm just, wetting my paint a bit. One thing I do want to advise, if this is your first time doing watercoloring, is when you touch your brush into the water to pick up the paint and all that, make sure you have a paper towel on the side to kind of just absorb the extra water. Oftentimes what happens is that your paper can get like blotchy if you just have too much water on your brush and on the paper, and you definitely don't want that, which kind of starts, what also might happen is, the water, this will kind of spread all over the paper, and your beautiful calligraphy piece or whatever you're drawing will get ruined. So just keep that in mind. It's a good idea to blotch and take out that excess water. So one of the things I wanted to point out here, when you're watercoloring, a way to make your painting dynamic, as I was mentioning earlier in the video, is to use different transparencies and different shades of blue in your painting. So here I'm using a darker blue, then I'm using other shades of blue as well, and then also playing around with the transparency by adding water or removing water to make it a bit more darker color or lighter color. So this fading ombre effect, if you want to call it that, just gives your piece a bit more character. So I'm just continuing to do touch-ups here and there. shameless plug, if you've made it this far into the video, is if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click the subscribe button, leave a comment, and let me know what you'd like to see in the next video. I feel like that just came so naturally to me because I've heard so many other YouTubers say that same line. Anyways, let's continue on with the drawing. One of the things that I actually discovered was there is an artist, an Arabic calligraphy artist that made some Procreate brushes. So if you don't know what Procreate is, it's a drawing app on the iPad. So he made these beautiful Arabic calligraphy brushes, and I of course have bought those brushes, and it just takes a lot of practice to get it down, but I am consistently practicing and I'm really enjoying the process. All right, so I am at the finishing touches of the piece. Now I'm just gonna double check if I have everything right, get the shkil and the excuse me, and the haraka as well. So we're just gonna go ahead and skip ahead a bit. All right, so we just skipped ahead, and yeah, I'm just adding the haraka. As you can tell, make sure you know what the haraka are, and just like reference the Quran and make sure that everything is correct. So to write the haraka, I'm actually using a much smaller brush. This is a size 0 round watercolor brush. If you feel like you're going to be making a lot of this and you need something precise, I would recommend getting that size 0 brush. So now what I want to do is I want to add a background color because I don't know why it's just not doing it for me. So I'm getting a bit of a bigger brush and really watering down the color. As you can tell, I'm using a lot of the blue that's actually in my water cup to kind of fill in the lines. I'm really trying not to be exact. I want a bit of a rough look to it because my calligraphy itself is a bit rough, so I want to stay on that theme. So I'm taking a bit of a thicker brush, just filling it in. One thing I do want to point out is the more water you have on your paper, it's going to start to curl a bit. So just keep that in mind. Something you can do to avoid that is using painter's tape at the edge of the paper to paint it down, to kind of just tape it down to your desk. So as you can tell, I am done. I've added the background color. I'm just waving my hand around, doing whatever I can to let it dry. After it dries, I think I want to add the translation on as well. I mean, I did. I'm doing the voiceover, so I definitely want to add the translation on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and add the translation on. And the why I'm making this is because everything I've ever made my dad, he's always put it in his office space. Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless him for that. Fortunately, I haven't made it much. So hopefully this is going to add a bit more color to his office, and I'm going to write a very personal note in the back. So I'm not going to show that personal letter, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and please let me know if you decide to make this watercolor